knowledge, right? This business is not about you obtaining knowledge. It's about you obtaining knowledge and then going out in the field and doing something with it and helping people, right? If you haven't noticed, you don't get helped, your clients don't get help if you can't convey our message and what we stand for to them, right? So I've got a bunch of good stuff here tonight, hopefully. It's still searching there, Stu. Where did he go? Did he
Out
just
the door.
leave?
Yeah.
He's quick. He is quick. He's like a little ninja warrior, right? In and out. I'm trying to get it to recognize the iPad. It's just searching all the way through. Yeah, we might need to grab him. If somebody wants to go get Aristida, that would be good. It's just searching over and over and over again.
Hey, come on in.
No input detected.
No input. Oh, there it is. Perfect.
There you go.
Shannon got it. What a stud. Okay. So anyways, we're on week 4 for 101, and tonight we're going to be talking about our concepts and the financial needs analysis. And this is a big deal for a couple of reasons, okay? And the first reason is R. Williams always said, Crusaders die hard. And he started this business not to have a business, not to have a multi-level marketing deal. He started this business as a high school football coach to correct an injustice, right? There are people being taken advantage of by a concept that was not in the best interest of the person, but in the best interest of the company and the salesperson selling it to them, right? And he got mad and decided to do something about it and started a business with 7 friends, right? And think about this, 1977, he started with 7 friends, 7 teacher buddies, teaching buy, term, invest the difference. In 1984, they outsold New York Life, MetLife combined. It'd be like you starting a car company in your garage and in 7 years outselling Ford and Toyota, right? I mean, that's the sort of explosive growth these guys had, right? And the reason why is our concepts are true, they're right, they're correct, and it's, you guys okay? You're like freaking me out here. Okay,
Oh,
good.
you said you needed them.
Oh yeah, we did, but it was this be working, but we didn't get it up. So anyways, Primerica is a company that's built on principles and concepts. Okay, and so you need to understand this because one of the biggest things that I feel like deters people from really being successful is you all get pushed around on phone calls, on appointments that you go on kitchen tables, where people object to you or you're really not totally sold out, right? You need to be 100% sold. You cannot be 5% for sale here. Because if you're 5% for sale when you go on an appointment, you're buying 100% of the time. You've got to know that you know that you know that what we're doing is the right thing, why it works, how it works, right? So you have that boldness and confidence to be able to talk to people, right, who might push back on you a little bit, say, hey, you know what? You don't know this stuff. You need to look at it, right? I just had an appointment with some clients of mine. I did a buy-sell agreement when they started their gym 8 years ago. Now they have 8 gyms. They have about 57 employees, and I called the owner. I said, I want to come in and do a how many works workshop for your people. He said, you know, I think they're okay. I said, Jerry, listen, you don't know any of this. He said, that's a pretty bold statement. Are you sure you want to back it up? I said, 100%. You're not going to know one thing I'm going to teach you here, except for buy, term, invest the difference because you're already a Primerica client, right? I said, other than that, you're not going to know one thing. You're going to be stumped. You run a successful business. He said, I like that confidence. I like that boldness. Go ahead and meet with our HR guy. Just met with them. We're going to meet with all their employees, right? But I'm bold and confident, right? And I'm ready to take on the skeptics, right? And that's really where you need to be able to get to, right? Because look, you only get run around in this business if you let people run you around. And you let people run you around by not being confident in what you're doing. Does everybody understand that? Good. So, let me pop out of here back to the first slide. Okay. So our concepts in Crusade. Why am I in note mode here? Can you see that? Okay. Building your finance is kind of like building a house. This is the first concept you've got to understand, right? Because Primerica is based on principle and on truth. Look, in today's society, there's a wonderful habit people have now of mixing some truth with some false and presenting it all as truth, okay? That's just how our society functions today, okay? You have to understand that what you're teaching people is 100% true. It's math. 2 + 2 is always 4. It's never 3. It's never 5, no matter how bad you want it to be or how much you'd like to change the meaning of 4 to 5. It's still 4. Right? You all understand that? And that's the surety you've got to have when you're operating on this. So building your finances is like building a house. If you build a house in the right order, generally the house will be strong and stable, right? Okay, if you build the house in the wrong order, you do the trades out of order, that house is going to be really jacked up, right? Okay, if you put electrical in after you put up drywall, there would be wires everywhere, right? There's wires all over this room, but we can't see them. They're in the safety of the walls. We can't be hurt by them, but if you did it backwards, you would see them, it'd be ugly, it'd be dangerous, right? And there's so many different things like that. And building your finances works very much in the same way. If you do it in the right order, long range, you're idiot proof. You can't screw it up. I mean, there's virtually nothing that could cause you to have a financial catastrophe if you're building your financial house in the right way. If you're building it out of order, just like building a real house out of order leaves you susceptible to a lot of dangers, and it's not going to look real pretty. It's the same thing with your financial picture. So I'm going to teach you guys this. I want you to understand and internalize this concept, okay? And I've got little drawings on here, and this is what I do for clients, little drawings, okay, so you can see it. Okay, so this is your house, financially. Let me pop out of the note mode again here so you can see this. All right, so building your house, again, there's a process. Step 1, 2, 3, and 4. The foundation of your house is what goes in first, right? If you're putting in a house with a basement, what do? They come dig it out, they put in the foundation walls, and they get it done. If the foundation is bad, the rest of the house is what? Bad. You're gonna have major issues. The foundation of all financial planning, all of it, 100% of it, is life insurance. Why? Because if you're alive to make money, you have control over what you do with the other priorities. Do I pay that money to debt? Do I save it? Do I go on vacation with it? Do I get a second job to have more of it? The only thing that cannot be redone or reevaluated after a certain point is their life insurance. Once you're dead, there's no do-over on it, right? GoFundMe is not going to fund you very long, right? Okay, so you got to understand that being the foundation. Now let me teach you some things. I'm gonna give you a lot of wisdom and a lot of nuggets here and some talking points you can use with your clients. Okay, having life insurance is way more important than paying off your debt. If I had to pick between paying my credit card and paying my life insurance premium, I would pick my life insurance premium. If I had to pick between paying my mortgage and my life insurance premium, I would pick my life insurance premium. If I had to pick between paying health insurance or life insurance premium, I would pay my life insurance premium. Why?
Because when you die, you leave all that other debt to your family if you don't have life insurance.
You're exactly right. Okay, if I lose my house, but I'm alive and I can work, I can remake money and buy another house. I can get an apartment, I can live somewhere. I can solve that problem. If I don't have health insurance and I get very sick and I have to go to the doctor, they have to treat me, and then they're going to send me $1 million medical bill, and if I don't have any money, they're not going to get any money. And I'm still alive, and I have some control about my financial future. You understand this? Okay, the way that you build your financial house is you look at the worst possible thing and you shore that up first, and then you move to less intrusive factors. You all understand that? Okay, this is a big deal. You're going to meet people all the time say, I just want to focus on my debt. I don't need insurance. That's crazy. You pay off your debt all you want. You die halfway through the debt payoff, guess what your family's never getting out of? Debt. Guess what they also can't do? Eat. Live in their house. Their entire life got turned upside down forever. The worst thing that could possibly happen to somebody financially is the loss of the ability to generate income. That's your biggest asset. Your house is not an asset. Your house takes money from you, right? Definition of an asset is what? Something for which you receive an income for owning. Do you receive an income for owning your house? No. You do what with money for owning your house? You put it out, and taxes and insurance and maintenance. Even when you don't have a mortgage, you still have costs or liability associated with your house. Yes, it goes up. The only way you can get that money is to do what? Sell the house, and then you need to buy another. It's not an asset. Your biggest asset is your ability to generate income. You make $50,000 a year. Every 10 years, you're going to make $500,000. You work for 40 years, you're going to make $2 million. That's the asset that you have to protect. That's why it is the single most important thing that gets done. If you all don't do anything for clients but help them set up this, you have done them a great service. Because the only thing that when they need it is going to be there. It's the only bill they're ever going to pay that's ever going to pay their family back. Right? Cable, Comcast's not going to call them Say, we're really sorry to hear about the loss of your husband. I know he watched SportsCenter every night. You always paid your bills on time. We've heard about this tragedy. We'd like to pay your house off, send your kids to college, fund your retirement account. Thank you so much for being a Comcast customer. When's the last time that happened? Never. And when's the next time that's going to happen? And what other bill on planet Earth will they ever pay that will make that phone call? None, besides their life insurance. It is the single most important thing. Until that is done, there's no point in doing anything else because you're a ticking time bomb. Sooner or later, what percentage of us are going to die? All. 100%. Do we control the date of our death? Generally, no. Not unless you kill yourself, right? This is Suicide Prevention Month. Go talk to somebody. Call me if you, right? Don't kill yourself, please. I care about you, okay? So, other than that, you do not control the date of your death. So you know it's coming. Sooner or later, it's going to be a financial catastrophe for your family, and we can protect against it for a few bucks. That is common sense. That's the first place the money should be going 100% of the time. Always, no exceptions. If they're working for an income, they must have life insurance. Why? Well, if you could afford to not have life insurance, you could also afford to not go to work. If you can't afford to stop working, that means your family can't afford for you to die. Because then you would stop working. Right? You understand that? Priority 1 is life insurance. Priority 2 is debt and debt repayment. Again, why is this a big deal? Because debt service consumes a lot of capital relative to the amount of money that you owe. Right? So you don't owe necessarily tons and tons of money, but it consumes a large cash flow, right? So if you have a 10% interest rate and you pay off that debt, you are now earning a guaranteed what? 10%. By not having to pay 10%. What did Benjamin Franklin say? A penny saved is a penny earned. And it works this way with interest compounding against you. How much risk do you take to pay off the debt? Oh yeah, please open that thing. It's like super hot in here. Okay, just crank it wide open. Give it to us all. Somebody fan me too. Where's your palm leaves? You all know. Yeah. So let's go to saving, right? After 1 and 2 are maximized, okay, you're now even, or at least doing as much as you can there. Priority number 3 is starting to get ahead in life by earning compounding interest, right? Rich people wake up tomorrow richer than they were tonight because interest is working for them. Everybody else wakes up poorer tomorrow than they were tonight because interest is working against them. But this has some level of risk. There's always risk in investments, no matter what it is, right? Short-term volatility risk, inflation risk, there's always some form of risk, which is why this is not here. Debt takes no risk to get a return by paying off the interest working against us. This, we assume some risk to try to earn positive cash. Y'all understand? Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. And then priority 4 is a better quality of life. Once you're maximizing 1, 2, and 3, right, then whatever's left, you can do whatever you want with. See, financial stability comes through doing the right things, being organized, educated, and doing the right things over time. Right? Okay? Once you have set yourself up on a process that is doing these things automatically for you on a monthly basis, whatever you have above that, do what you want with. Right? But most people, they don't ever put themselves on a process, so they're always worried about how much they're going to have, they're worried about their debt, etc. Once you understand these things, and you set yourself up where you know this amount's going here, this amount's going here, this is what's going to happen, and I'm okay with that, whatever's left, do what you want with. Everybody understand? Okay. Why this order? We just talked about that. Okay. Here's how people's money is broken down. People's money belongs in 1 of 5 categories. Okay? This is where people's money goes. Taxes, debt, insurance, savings, and everything else. There's a lot of things in everything else. Right? Let me explain to you why this is so. These 4 things we would consider to be fixed expenditures that have to be made. Taxes must be paid or you go to jail. Generally, right? Okay? If you don't pay your debts, they're going to take your things. Right? If you don't pay your insurances, you have all of auto insurance, homeowners insurance, you leave yourself open to financial catastrophe. If you're not saving money, eventually you'll die broke. You'll work till the day you die. So these are 4 things that most people are already doing, right? Yes or yes? They're already paying insurances, they're already paying debts, they're already paying taxes, they're doing these things already. Money is already going out for these things. Everything else is everything else. I mean, anything else you possibly think of. Vacation, kids' private school, tithing at your church, all these sorts of things, right? Okay, that's all in this pile. One of the biggest differences between what Dave Ramsey teaches and what we teach is he teaches to go in here and gut this thing out, right? Rice and beans, beans and rice.
Yeah.
The problem with rice and beans is it requires a behavior change. How well do people change their behavior? They don't. Generally speaking, yeah, they do not, right? So if your business model is predicated upon changing people's behavior, that's a tough business model. Okay? So I want you to understand this is essentially static in every household you walk into. There's money going to tax, there's money going to insurance, there's money going to savings, there's money going to debt, and then there's money going everywhere else. We don't care about any of that. Whatever's going everywhere else, don't worry about it, keep doing it, not a big deal. If you take the monies that are going to these 4 quadrants and you learn how to maximize the value that's going there through redistribution of the money through these 4 quadrants, better products, a better education on it, 99.9% of the time, almost always, you can make massive improvements in their financial outlook only by shifting money that's already going where? Here, without taking money from here. Okay? If you can avoid taking money from here and you can use the money that's already going out, that's called transfer spending. Okay? So transfer spending says money's already going out for service A, B, and C, and now we're just going to change where that money goes for service A, B, and C. Y'all understand that? Mm-hmm. New spending is they don't currently have service A, B, and C, and now you must take new dollars to purchase that service. Everybody following that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is the biggest difference between Primerica and any other network marketing deal pretty much on planet Earth. Nobody's spending $150 a month on bottles of Miracle Juice, at least that I know of, that you're buying from the store on a monthly basis, right? But when you join the juice deal, your job is to sell people what? $150 a month bottles of juice. That is new spending. Imagine so that's business model A. Imagine business model B. Everybody's already spending $200 a month on bottles of Miracle Juice. And your Miracle Juice is $100 a month and works twice as good. Which business will be easier, the one I just described or the one where you're asking for $150 of new spending? The transfer spending model is always easier than new spend. Money's already going, it's now going more efficient, better value, versus money is not already going and now you need to convince of the value. You all following that?
Yeah.
Okay? This is why doing the financial needs analysis is so important. Okay? Because the financial needs analysis allows you to operate in a transfer spending model. You're going to look at what is going on in these 4 quadrants and how to maximize that. Versus if you're just out there selling insurance, again, there's nothing wrong with that, but especially to people who don't have insurance, it's a new cost. If you can wrap it into existing costs, it's not a new cost and it's still transfer spending. More value for the same dollars that were already going out. Everybody understand this? You all feel good about what's happening there so far? Very good. Okay, so we're going to reallocate and properly use funds for maximum efficiency. So y'all have, how many of you have done your own financial needs analysis? Raise your hand. Wow, okay, raise them up. Okay, good. So that means the rest of you have not. If you have not done your own financial needs analysis, call your upline tonight and schedule it and get it done and follow it. Right? Okay, when you see what that does for you, you will never have a problem getting an appointment with anybody again. Because no matter what they're saying, you're a crusader. You know, this helped me a lot, right? I don't care if you don't think you're interested, you still need to see it. And if you're not interested then, that's okay. But don't tell me you're not interested because this thing changed my life, right? Okay, and that's the conviction you need to have, and that comes from doing this. If you just think you're going out selling to somebody, you're going to have some level of reservation at some point inside of you that's going to cause you to not be as convicted and convincing as possible, right? Convinced people do what? Convince people, right? So if you're not yet convinced because you haven't done the process, that's not good, right? You need to get convinced quickly by walking through and understanding, right? So most people don't plan to fail. Don't wake up in the morning and say, today's a great day to destroy my finances for the rest of my life, right? They just don't do anything about it. They just fail to plan, right? So what does the financial needs analysis do? Hold on, let me go back here, right? It's going to offer solutions in all those areas: savings, kids' college, taxes, debt, insurance, right? We're going to look at what they have. We're going to get them a written plan that's going to show them what they need to be doing. Okay, so that's our solution to this problem. Okay, so let me teach you some of the concepts here. Once you're in the F&A, let me explain to you why this process works. Again, why is this information important? Because when you understand how it works, you can go toe-to-toe with people who don't understand how it works, and you are operating from a position of authority, right? Okay, oh, I already know all this stuff. No, you don't. Oh, yeah, I do. No, you don't. I promise you. You want to see? Let's do it. Let's 15 minutes. I'm going to show you things you have no idea about. And you are, because they've never done it. So one of the first concepts in transfer spending is tax refunds, okay? How many of you get tax refunds right now? Okay? Tax refunds are bad. Why are tax refunds bad? Okay? A tax refund is what? It's an overpayment to the government for taxes you think you owe. And then you file your taxes and the government says, oops, we took too much. You didn't actually owe us all this. Here you go. And they refund it to you. How long have they had that money? Over a year. So it's from the early contributions, right? And how much interest do they pay you for the use of your money for the year? Zero. And by the time you get the money back, what have you already started doing again next year? Overpaying again. You're floating the government a yearly loan of thousands of dollars, totally interest-free for your entire life. For your entire life. Right? Okay? You all saw in the Obama-Romney election, Mitt Romney was demonized as being an evil rich person who paid less in percent in taxes than his secretary. Remember that? It was a big deal, right? Wealthy people use the tax code to their advantage. They hold their own money, they earn interest on it, and they pay the taxes only that are due when they're due. When are taxes due? Quarterly. They're due quarterly, which is why they take them from you every month, so there's enough there for them to pay their quarterly taxes, their payroll taxes, okay? They're due quarterly, and there's certain rules about it, right? Wealthy people hold their money and give it to the government every quarter. And they earn interest versus employees. The first thing that happens is the government takes their cut, you get nothing on it, and then they give it back to you and buy the screen TV. That's it, over and over and over again, right? Okay? So we want to have as close to a zero refund as possible. Why? If you have a $3,000 annual refund, right? So let's go look at this. So I Googled this, 2014. Isn't it amazing what Google can do? 2014 average tax refund in the United States was $3,211. This is a 2014 average. That's $255 a month, $260 a month, something like that. Okay? So that's $260 a month you don't have right now. Then they give back to you and you get a lump sum. How many of you can remember what you bought 4 years ago with your tax refund in 5 seconds or less? 2 of you. Okay? 4. Okay. What'd you buy?
Me? I put down payment on my house.
4 years ago?
Yeah.
Good. What'd you do 3 years ago?
No idea.
Okay.
4 years ago, I bought a patio set.
Good. And what'd you do 3 years ago?
Not an idea.
Okay.
4 years ago, I think we bought stuff for our house and then we went on our honeymoon.
Okay. Honeymoon. Very good. And what'd you do 2 years ago with the money?
We
Don't remember, so
We-
it's not good.
we bought our car. We put a down payment on our car.
Okay. Good. So you're
I
kind
can
of...
tell you what we did, but we're not doing it right.
Yeah. So most people have no idea what they did.
What should people be claiming on their insurance?
We'll get to that. That's a wonderful question. And claiming on their withholdings is what you're talking about. Okay. So here's the concept. Instead of getting $3,000 back and blowing it, why don't we put $250 a month back in your paycheck and then redistribute it to your financial well-being on a monthly basis? You understanding that? You can move mountains financially by doing this, right? but everybody's broke. They don't have any money. That's not true. They're tax poor. And then they get in a lump sum, they buy stuff because they're not used to having money. Here, the money's gone, right? They're not living on it. We put it back in their paycheck, we auto-draft it out to the things that are important. They're still not living on it, but now it's going to build their net worth instead of the government's net worth. It's like quadrillions of dollars negative, by the way, right? Which you're funding. Okay, $3,200 a year was the average return. So let me explain this to you, right? So here's kind of how that goes. So here's your $250 a month we put back into your paycheck. What do we do with that $250? We redistribute it to priority 1, 2, and 3. However much money priority 1 costs, that's where the money's going. If there's money left over, where's the money going next? Priority 2. When 2 is maximized, if there's money left over, where's it going? End of story. So you take money that's already gone, it's still gone, but it's going protecting their family, getting them out of debt, and moving their needle forward on their investments. How much money does that cost them out of their pocket? Zero. Right, zero. Okay. Everybody understand that concept?
I have a question. Now, what about when people say, "Oh, I don't have that," so that like that's gone. So then they're like,
You don't have a tax refund?
they don't have debt. Debt.
Someone said they don't have
If someone
Oh,
says
so if they don't have
debt.
debt, so if you still do number 1, and if number 2 doesn't exist, then you go to what? Number 3.
Yeah. But like, what if they're like, "Oh, we're good. You know, we have our savings."
Well, they're
and I
not
don't
good.
think they need like.
And they take the number
insurance."
3 and put it
Yeah,
to the number
they're
1.
not good. So okay, so you ask them, say, why are you still working?
That makes sense.
Well, because I can't retire. Okay.
Right.
Well, if you died, wouldn't that be the same thing? So if you couldn't stop working because you can't retire, but you could die and stop it.
Yeah.
I think you haven't maybe thought this through. Can I help you think this through a little bit? And you just explain, right? The facts are on our side. We're teaching people true and correct things in the appropriate way to do things. Therefore, the more education you can provide to that consumer, the more likely they are to move forward with you because it's the right thing, right? Their thinking in that case is errant. It's wrong. Or I don't need life insurance. Not true. Why don't you retire right now? Call your job and quit. Well, because I need the money. Well, if you need the money now, you're going to need the money tomorrow too if you die. It's the same thing, right? Okay. So most people have tax refunds. The only people you're going to meet that don't have tax refunds are
Wealthy people.
and business owners. Yeah, business owners don't have tax refunds. We owe taxes. I have a $150,000 tax bill at the end of the year. That's good, right? I stick it in a municipal bond fund, earns me 7% a year tax-free. So I make $12,000 tax-free money on my tax money all year, right? So that's like $1,000 a month, right? My money earns interest to pay my car payments off the money I owe to the government. And you just give it to the government and say, hey, just use it for free, man. I'm loaded, right? And in the meantime, you're up to your eyeballs in debt. You're not saving any money, okay? So, priority 2, right? Repayment of debt. Y'all know debt stacking, right? Debt stacking is the most powerful tool for debt repayment that is available in the United States of America or anywhere on earth. It's math, okay? So what the concept of debt stacking says is we pay a fixed amount to debt, which is true right now. Your debt costs a certain amount of money per month. The way that debt is structured in the United States, there's 2 sorts, revolving debt and fixed debt. Who knows the difference?
Revolving the credit card.
Well, revolving is a credit card, but what's the difference?
You can pay it and then use it again.
Well, kinda.
One has compound interest in.
They both have compound interest. What's the difference?
So
A revolving debt forces you to repay a percentage of the outstanding balance, okay? A fixed debt requires you to pay a fixed installment of the original outstanding balance. What does that mean? It means when you pay down your credit card, say you owe $10,000, you put it to $5,000, what happens to your monthly payment? It goes down, right? Which if you pay smaller payments, keeps the interest going for a longer period of time. So you actually pay far more interest on revolving debt because revolving debt keeps you in debt for a longer period of time versus a fixed debt, a 30-year mortgage, you're out of debt in how many years? 30 years. You're also paying a crap ton of money on that, right? But imagine your house starts at a monthly payment and then keeps going lower and lower, but you could pay for it for 100 years. 99% of people would do that, but they pay triple or quadruple in interest over the 100 years that they paid in 30 years. That's how debt companies make money off us, you all. Banks, credit cards, the federal government through their student loan and housing authorities, right? Everybody is in your pocket taking interest from you in one way, shape, or form. Everybody, right? You understand? Art Van don't make money selling furniture. Art Van makes money doing what? Giving you Art Van credit cards to buy furniture. 0% interest for 6 months, 19.99 after that, right? They make their money on that, right? So this is a concept that can be used, right? Because it's counterculture. Normally what happens when your payment goes down, you pay what they want. So the money you're paying out that was this much is now this much. You pay off one of the debts, you either go get a new debt or you take the money and do something else. So your payment that was this much now goes down to this much. But it keeps you in debt forever. You understanding that? Debt stacking says we fix the payment indefinitely. Whatever it is today, it is until it's all gone. Right? So how much extra cash does that cost them? Nothing, because they're already paying it. Right? Okay? So what happens is, in this example, right, here's your monthly payment, $1,480 a month. Here's the split of the cards. This is just showing minimum payments, right? Okay? Once this card pays off, we have a plan and a process, right? We run this through the financial needs analysis. We print out a plan for the client. It says, once this is gone, we take the 100 that had to go there and we put it on this one. So your payment was minimum until this paid off. So now it's that plus that, which is 220, right? That will pay this card off early, right? Because there's more money going to it. When that pays off early, we now have how much money every month? 220. If it's not extra, we're going to keep it in the system and follow a process. So we take that 220, we dump it on this credit card, which the minimum was what? 135. We add the 220, so the new payment is what? So it pays that card off faster. When that one pays off, we take the 355, stick it on the car loan, which we've been making minimums on until we have that cash cleared up, right? And then we take the car loan, and what do? We dump it on the mortgage. So the total payment stays what?
The same.
Fixed the whole time, right? But what happens? They pay off way early. Way early, right? It gets even better than that. Most people overpay their minimums. They do debt shotgunning because mom always told us, don't pay minimums, you'll be in debt forever. So they're paying a little extra here, a little extra there. Here's a client I saw a couple of weeks ago. Take a look at this. They don't have a ton of debt, but they have some revolving debt, interest only. Really nice stuff here, right? So check this off. Check this out, right? Minimum payments, $518 a month to service the debt, and then they were overpaying the debt by what? 147, okay? And they were putting a little here, a little there, so they were extra paying on about 4 debts, okay? So the total monthly payment was how much? $665. With how they were overpaying it, this is just a financial calculator, you all, just runs the numbers. These people will be out of debt at age what? 129, which is paid off in 100 plus years, right? Interest paid, how much? 89,000. Paying extra, but not paying it right. You understand that? Check this out. What we said here was, look, we can take the $518 a month minimum payment that you had before. Oh, sorry. Right, same $518 a month minimum payment goes over here, but instead of paying 147 extra, we only need what? 82. So we're actually going to reduce their payment out to debt, but restructure it in debt stacking. Minimums on everything, that 82 extra on one. When that one pays off early, we dump the money onto the next, dump the money onto the next. Look how long it's going to take them to pay off their debt.
3 years.
3 years. 96 years and 11 months sooner. Interest saved is $83,866. They're saving roughly 92% of the total interest scheduled to be charged to them. They're paying off their debt in 3 years, and it's costing them less money than they were paying to it before. Why? Because they weren't debt stacking. They weren't leveraging the capital against itself. Okay, does everybody understand that? It's the most powerful tool in debt repayment that exists. Nobody knows it, right? Nobody knows it. And sometimes you meet people who think they know it. And think, oh yeah, sure, you pay smallest to largest. Wrong. That's not how it works. Not mathematically correct, right? That's a form of this. Fix your payment, pay off the smallest one first, then move on to the next one, but it's wrong. It's going to take longer, right? Sometimes you meet people say, oh, I know, you pay off the highest interest rate one first. Double wrong. That's going to take twice as long, right? Right? It's a factor of a number of things that is quite honestly is probably would take me a very long time by hand to figure out, okay? But it's an algorithm that looks at principal balances, minimum payments, interest rates, and actual payments being made, and then takes that capital and says, this is the fastest way through this debt. Okay, you understand that? Okay, so big deal. In this case, we saved them like $60-some a month. So what can we do with that savings? Well, potentially invest it, or if they don't have any money for their insurance, what do? We take the capital out of the debt. They didn't need it there. We're maximizing the repayments done in 3 years without that money. So let's go to number one. If they didn't already have capital from taxes to do that, right? And once number one's done, then we'll go and we'll take the money and put it in savings. You all understanding that? Okay. How are we doing on time here? Okay, we're doing pretty good. So obviously, you know, life insurance is a big part of what we do. Buy term and invest the difference. But you need to understand why this makes sense, right? Okay, so wrong life insurance costing consumers billions and billions and billions of dollars a year because they're not educated. Life insurance is not meant to be there for your whole life. It's just not, right? Eventually, at some point, you will become self-insured. How do you know if you're self-insured? You don't have to work for money anymore. If you die and nobody loses financially, why do you need to have life insurance? You do not. You could choose to keep some if you want as an extra, but it's not a requirement, right? Do you understand? So in the early years, right, most people have young children, high debt, a house mortgage. A loss of income at that point in time would be devastating, right? Okay. Fast forward your life 30 years, 40 years down the road. Your children are grown. Your debt is paid off. You have saved hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. You're retired, you're not actively earning an income anymore. At this point, we don't really need life insurance any longer, right? We have grown children, no debt, retirement income coming in, right? So that is the concept of buying term insurance for time and investing the money that would have gone to whole life into a savings so that at one point you can become financially independent. Is everybody understanding that concept so far, right? So take a look at this. I went out and Googled just so you can see trustedchoice.com has cost of a $500,000 whole life insurance policy for a healthy weight, safe lifestyle, non-smoker. Okay. If you're a male who's 20 years old, a $500,000 policy will only cost you $195 a month for the rest of your life. How many of you are in your 20s in here? How many, okay, keep your hand up. How many of you have a life insurance policy with Primerica? Okay, good. And how many of you have a $500,000? Okay.
Oh no.
No, okay, so you all have a little less than that.
Oh, I had, where do I have this?
He's like, what? Life insurance.
What do you have?
$500,000.
Okay, so you have $500,000
Okay.
through Primerica,
Okay.
Yeah,
right? What are you paying for it?
$10 on top of mine. So 160, 150, and then $10 additional.
Okay, right. So
So
it's $10 extra to have her.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
cheaper to keep her.
Right. Versus $190, $167 is what it would be for a whole life.
Yeah, that's 2 of us.
16 times more for the same amount of face value. Okay. How many of you here are in your 50s? Okay. If you had $500,000 of life insurance, you were a non-smoker, it would cost you $707 a month on a whole life plan. A term life plan costs you $100 a month, maybe. Right? In your 60s, no big deal. It's like $2,200 a month, right? So $30,000 a year for a $500,000 policy. The fact is, the average consumer cannot afford enough monthly premium to buy a big enough policy to make a difference. Right? In my opinion, today's day and age, a $500,000 is a minimum amount of life insurance that's reasonable, right? Because if you're making $50K, a $500,000 is 10 years of your income. It's really not that much money in today, right? 40 years ago is a lot of money. Today, it's not a lot of money. Right, so you start looking at these numbers, $400 a month, $700 a month, $2,000 a month to buy the very baseline right amount of coverage. It's just not even feasible for people. Do you understand? Listen to this, you all. 90% of the life insurance dollars that are paid in this country pay to this sort of product. 90% of every dollar that's paid towards life insurance in the United States is paid towards this sort of product. The average death claim last year was under $14,000 paid in our industry. The life insurance industry average death claim is less than $14,000. Why? Because it's all this bull crap, right? Primerica is the only seller of life insurance, you all, the only one on planet Earth that only sells term insurance. The only one, okay? You all understand this? Okay, so sometimes you will hear from people that, you know, one size fits all is not the best approach, right? How many of you have heard something like that, right? Or there's situations in which whole life could be the right thing. How many of you have heard that? Okay, it's just not true. There's no situation in which it's a good situation to own a terrible product. Owning a bad product, there's never a good reason for it. Okay, y'all get that? I'll show you that in a minute here if we have a little bit of time. Right? So what do we do with the cash flow that we save them on their life insurance? We take that and we redistribute it to where? Debt and savings. So remember the pie: taxes, debt, insurance, savings. We're going to manipulate those through the concepts that I've just taught you to take the cash that's already there and to make it work harder for the client. It's costing the client nothing, but they're walking away properly insured. They're walking away out of debt as fast as mathematically possible, and they're saving more money than they were saving before. At what cost to them? Zero. Why don't you knock down people's doors to go share this information with them? This is not juice. This is not buy your soap online, get rich quick. This is changing their life in a big, big, big way. Why you're not knocking people's doors down to show them this is beyond me. But that's how I always felt. I mean, you need to close me pretty hard on not coming to see you, because I know what I'm going to do for you. If they knew, you guys, if they knew what we were going to do for them, they would be lined up down this street trying to get in here. But they don't know. That's our job to teach them. That's why we get paid so much. There's two ways. Company takes all of our money and puts it out into advertising, and then we're order takers, and we all make nothing, right? Okay, little pennies like State Farm guys do, right? Making 30, 40 grand a year, sitting in an office 5 days a week, taking people who think they're like a good neighbor, they're there for them, right? That's option one. Option two is you learn how to communicate this to people, and you make fortunes, because you're not giving your money to the low producer who's benefiting by people calling him. You're getting all of it. You understand that? It's free enterprise at its greatest. Do the work, get the reward. People that don't do the work, don't get the reward. Sounds fair to me, right? Okay. So, investment calculator. Here's $250 a month, right? $3,000 a year. Going into an account for 35 years. Okay, earning 11% annually, which by the way is slightly low of the S&P 500 average annual earnings for over a 30-year period of time. Okay, how much money is that, you all? $1.1 million. $1.1 million. Now, if you knew you were guaranteed to be a millionaire 30 to 40 years from now, by putting away a couple of $100 a month, most people would do it. Even if they had to sacrifice to do it. We're not asking them to sacrifice to do it. We're finding the money in the piles of things that are already there and then helping them to do that. By the way, they're already saving money, most of these people. It's just additional. Can you imagine putting an additional $1 million into somebody's account? That's what you're doing by doing this and helping people to start the process. But they'll never start if you're not where? In front of them doing an F&A, and if you're not skilled to explain to them why they need to do the things with us, right? They're not doing this now because they're grossly undereducated in it. They don't know where to go or who to trust. End of story. You're there, you're going to educate them, you're trustworthy, you're working with a company that stands on the right principles regardless of what it makes us. We could make a ton more money selling bull crap whole life insurance to people and peddling debt like the rest of the industry. We could make a lot more money than we do, right? But we choose not to, because right is right and wrong is wrong, regardless of the financial compensation that's in it. Would you all agree with that? Right? So you got to understand that that's what you're bringing to people. You're bringing them the truth. you're bringing them the right concepts, you're bringing them a workable solution that costs them zero, right? That costs them zero. And this is how you perpetuate your business, right? Because if you listen to my kitchen table presentation, I ask them for two things in return for doing this for them. What are those two things? One is referrals. Two is that they move forward with the recommendations that I'm making. So I do this once and I get an influx of new potential clients who know what a great job we did for them. Everybody understand that? Guys, what we do is magical. It really is. There's nothing you could do with your life that will more dramatically and drastically impact individual people than this. I don't know what you do. You make widgets over there at Chrysler all day long, and you quit, and guess what? There's another widget maker they're going to hire out of Lawrence Tech right behind you. Might even make a better widget than you. And life goes on. The stats say if we don't see them, nobody's going to see them, and they're going to be broke. And they're going to perpetuate that cycle of poverty, lower middle class, on to the next generation through what? The same lack of financial understanding, same lack of financial knowledge, same lack of access to financial professionals, and it's just going to keep going. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer because of this. It's financial education, only difference. A lot of people make a lot of money, end up filing for bankruptcy, right? 50 Cent just did it, $400 million gone. Right? Right? So it's not about how much you make, it's about what you know about what you make and how to use it. And of having a process and a system that's appropriate for them to be able to do that. Y'all get that? You understand what I'm saying? Okay? So understand your value that you bring to people. The next time somebody's hemming and hawing with you on the phone about sitting down, you need to be thinking about this. Thinking about these people need to see this. They do. They need to see this. And if we're not going to bring it to them, they're going to do nothing, or even worse, they're going to be taken advantage of. And they're going to waste a bunch of money on poor products, right, that are not the right thing for them. Any questions on that?
Was this investing the $3,000 a year?
Yep, so that's $3,000 annually for 35
So, for
years.
instance, if we took their insurance refund, that we kept,
Tax refund, you mean?
tax refund, that we kept, this is what they could have.
Correct. Yep, for 35 years. All right, well, if you're still living, you're going to be doing something for 35 years. You might as well be sticking it there and be a millionaire.
I like
Right?
that
Yeah,
one.
I mean,
Let's
that's-
stick it there and be a millionaire.
Yeah.
I'm using
Because
it.
you're putting it somewhere.
Yeah.
The money is going away from you, right? So at least let's put it in something that it comes back to us as $1 million later on, right? That makes sense? Okay, so you'd asked a question about the tax refunds and how do you adjust withholdings. Okay, here's a general rule of thumb. For every withholding that you claim, it will put $50 a month back into your paycheck. Unless you're making over $100,000, then it's a little more. So let's say they have $3,000 a year in refunds. That's $250 a month we want to put back into their check. So whatever they're claiming now, they should increase that by what? By 5. $50 times 5 is $250, which is the $250 a month they need to have back. You will meet people. What if I owe taxes? Not possible. It's a math problem. They're giving you the money back because you didn't owe them the taxes. So if your refund was $3,000, I don't ever put it to 0. I give them a little leeway. So let's say their refund was $3,000. I'm going to get $2,500 put back in, which means their refund next year should be how much? Not true. Right now, they've already paid in the whole year wrong. We're making an adjustment for 3 months. They're going to get almost the same amount of money back this year. The following year, 2 tax refunds from now, they should get how much? $500 in that example. Can they owe money based on this? No. The only way they could owe money would be if they lost deductions, right, or they made a ton more income. But even then, they ratchet up, right? It's a percentage of the dollars then, okay? So it's not possible for them to owe money. But you'll hear people say that because they don't understand at all how it works. They think the government's giving this money to them. Well, I don't want to owe. It's your money. You gave it to them and you didn't owe it. You can't owe on a refund of your own money. Everybody understand? Do you have any questions on anything we've gone over here so far tonight?
So one deduction is $250. It's $50.
Approximately,
Okay.
give or take.
And that's counting what? Social Security.
It's
Medicare?
federal. So
Just federal.
it's just federal withholdings.
Okay,
That's the only thing that your withholdings address. FICA is fixed, right? You all know what FICA is?
Yeah.
It's your Social Security fund, 7.62%. It's coming out no matter what.
Okay.
No matter how much you make till you made 110 grand, then they don't take it out anymore. Because they're not going to give you a massive, if you're making $1 million a year, you're not going to get a $400,000 Social Security annual income, right? They limit it, so they limit how much they take. That's fixed, right? Healthcare stuff, fixed. The only things that get adjusted, you can adjust for your state and your federal. We never touch the state, leave the state alone, just go with the federal, right? If you're getting money back from the, as a tax refund from the United States government, that's a federal tax return.
And there's a difference between your deductions and your exemptions.
Exactly. Yep. So, but a lot of people confuse the two words. A deduction is, they're like, isn't that illegal to claim 5? I don't have 5 kids. You're not claiming a deduction. You're claiming an exemption, right? And you're claiming it. It's not a dependent. It's just a random number that says, here's how much money you should take from me so that my tax bill is paid, right? Any other questions there? Any other question about what we went over here tonight at any level? Hopefully you guys feel a little more confident about what you're doing for people. I mean, what we do for people is absolutely incredible, right? You feel confident when you go out there across the kitchen table, you're bringing the right information, the right concepts, the right solutions to people at no cost to them, almost always, unless you're not doing the financial needs analysis, right?
So on the debt stacking, you know, people are pretty much maxed out on their income, paying their bills. It's just the way things are.
Okay.
So they've got to pay off that first one so that they.
And it will pay off. I mean, if you're making payments to it now,
Okay.
it will pay off eventually.
So are you suggesting doing something like the tax thing, something like that, that would free up enough income that they
Well,
can begin to.
correct. So what he's asking is, what if there's no extra money there? So the example that I showed you in debt stacking showed no extra money. That the concept of debt stacking, right? So let me go back to it here.
So without a lifestyle change, they got to do something to come up with the extra
No,
money.
zero. You're already paying these debts.
Right.
Sooner or later, it's going to pay off. That debt will pay off if you're making payments to it. It is scheduled to pay off. It must at some point. It's not a perpetual debt unless it's interest only.
Well, it's a revolving card.
It may take a long time. Yeah, it depends on how it's structured, right? So,
You're spending, yeah.
right. So watch what happens. In this case, what's the software going to do? It's going to go find an installment loan and then redistribute the capital to a non-installment loan to pay it off.
Okay.
It's good. Some of the debt at some point is going to pay off. It doesn't just exist forever. They have finite payoff times depending on how they're calculated. So let's say from here to here it took 5 years. That may be the case, but that's the case whether we're debt stacking or not. Yes or yes.
Mm-hmm.
It costs a certain amount to pay that debt off. The question is, what are we going to do with the money once it's paid off? We're already used to paying it, and nobody has a plan. They just buy stuff, right? So now we have a plan. So when that pays off, whenever it was going to be to begin with, right? It's not about paying off the first one faster. The first one's going to take what the first one takes. It's about redeploying the capital from the first one down the line and then quickly snowballing it down the hill. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it seems like you want to get people a push to get them started to doing that.
Yes, you sure do, but if you can't, you can't, and it's still going to help them enormously.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes you meet people like, I'm so broke, you couldn't help me. Not true. Are you making payments to your debt? Yes, I can help you. If they're making payments to their debt, we can help them a ton. If they can make extra, it just speeds up.
And if they're paying extra to the second card, they should stop doing that and apply it off.
Yeah, he's just saying, what if they're paying all minimums to
Oh,
everything?
okay.
And sometimes you meet people like that. But those people also get $5,000 tax refunds or $8,000 tax refunds because they're getting an earned income credit or something like that. I mean, generally, massive debt problems are also associated with lower incomes. Lower incomes are associated with very, very generous tax policy in the United States. Right?
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, there are people who get paid by the federal government for having a job and earned income tax credit and things like that. Right? So, yeah, that's a great question, but the concept is sound. Here's another thing. Well, what happens if I get more debt? Well, you got to pay it off either way, right one, right? So why not pay it off at the end of 3 years instead of 103 years? You got to pay it off one way or the other, right? This is not going to help you not get into more debt. If you go and open another credit card and buy more things, you're going to get into more debt. But either way, you got to pay it off. Why not pay it off at the end of a shorter period of time than a longer period of time if it was the same money? Right? Sometimes people think they got you. Ah, I got it. Well, what happens when my washing machine breaks and I need another one? Well, buy it and call me, and we'll put it in this, and life goes on. That's what happens, right?
Okay, now you're saying if they have any money left over, put it in savings. Do you show them where to put that money?
So there's
Because-
an order in which savings needs to happen, right? Namely, an emergency fund first, right? Once you have an emergency fund, then there's a hierarchy in savings. I'll address it very quickly, but it will be very quickly, right? First place you go with money is free money. Where does free money exist sometimes? 401ks with a match. If your employer is giving you money to put money in, that's called free money. And the first place you put money, you can say is where there is free money. Now, if there's no free money available, so you have a 401k but they don't match, or there's no 401k, then the next place you go is tax-free money, which exists where? No. No.
Mutual fund?
No. You're missing a word in front of IRA. Roth IRA. Roth IRA is tax-free. No taxation on any of the interest. You're going to pay tax on the principal because it came out of your income, but you're going to pay taxes on the principal either way, right? You defer it in a 401k. When you take it out, you pay taxes, principal and interest. Roth IRA is the only investment on earth that allows you tax-free interest. You understand? So first place we go is free money. Second place we go is tax-free money. Once we've maxed out our ability to save money tax-free, then we go back to tax-deferred money, which is IRA 401k.
How many times can you take money out of the Roth IRA?
I'm
How
sorry?
many times can you take money from the Roth IRA?
It depends how old you are, depends what you're taking it for, or any number of things.
Like you only take so much money, one time draw from your IRAs.
If you're,
I don't know about Roth IRA, I don't know much about
okay,
it.
so I'm not sure that what you're saying, I'm
You can
not sure if
borrow
you're,
from your IRA and put it back within 60 days.
that's called a 60-day rollover.
Right.
That's technically, you can't borrow from it, that's illegal to do, but the IRS has no way to figure out whether you did that or not, yeah.
Yeah. So the other one, you have Roth IRA.
Yeah, you do the same thing.
How many times you only do it once with an IRA?
It depends on
No,
what you're
you
doing.
only one
So
time.
again, you're looking at something that you really shouldn't be doing, which is borrowing money from your own IRA and paying it back. Technically, it's a distribution, right? You should just be taking the money and using it. You know, that's what it's there for. It's there to accumulate money and use
Let's say
it.
I take it out, I put it back, but I invest it. I'm an options trader, so I can trade in options with IRAs.
That's true,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you're always in the IRA. So you're talking about taking cash out of the IRA to spend it on something and then
Well,
trying
just
to put it back.
It's just intermittent, but if you can only do it one time a year.
Depends. It depends what you're doing. If you're taking withdrawals, you can take
Well,
unlimited
you
amount of
take it
withdrawals.
no. I'm just saying that you can only take it one time and put it back, but you can't do it twice. You can take money out of your IRA, but you gotta pay tax.
Yeah. So one time per year, you can do a rollover.
Yes.
What you're talking about is you're coding money as a rollover
Okay,
that's
I get
not actually being rolled over.
Right.
So you're playing with the IRS a little bit there on what they want you to
Whatever
do.
year, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Right. They have no way to tell
Right.
what you used the money for or didn't
No, I'm
use the
just
money for.
asking, can you do the same thing
On a Roth?
Yeah.
One rollover per year.
Okay, that's all
Yeah.
I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. One rollover per year.
Real quick,
I'm just trying to figure out what you were saying to me.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you only take it once a year and you put it back? I'm like, wait a
Yeah,
second,
me confused.
it's a little weird. But
You
you're
want-
right, yeah, but
You want people to pay off their mortgage, right?
yes,
I mean, that, we want to get rid of it.
yes,
Even young couples,
yes,
I'm not gonna ask you again.
yeah. Why? Well, so you're gonna meet Johnny Smart guy who's like, I get a tax deduction. Here's the end of that statement. That's true. You do get a tax deduction on your mortgage interest. Okay? So let's say you pay $1 of interest and you can write that off on your taxes, and your tax rate is 30%. How much money do you get back from the government for paying the $1 of interest? 30 cents. I don't know on what planet it makes sense to pay $1 to get 30 cents. Why don't you just pay off the loan, stop paying interest, and keep your whole $1?
Right.
Yeah. And if you sell the house, you're still getting more money back.
Right. Well, I'm going to sell my house. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
When you sell it, wouldn't you rather owe less on it than owe more?
Yeah.
Or have it paid off and make the money yourself.
Right. Well, that's just a dollar trade. If you owe a loan on it and you sell it, then you don't get as much proceeds. If you pay it down, then you get more proceeds. The dollars came back to you that you paid off, and you paid less interest in the meantime. Right? Yeah. So people who have concepts that sound foreign or adverse to this, it just doesn't make any sense. Right? There are always remember this. Remember that what I told you at the beginning: partial truth, partial falsity. There is a tax benefit to having a mortgage. It's just a bad tax benefit, doesn't make any sense. But there is a tax benefit, that is true. The opposite end of the truth is it's totally berserk, doesn't make a nickel of sense to anybody, right? But that's why you gotta understand, right? Whole life insurance, there's tax benefit to having whole life insurance. Except it's the worst tax benefit on the planet. Is not helpful to any human being ever, not one time. But there is a tax benefit to it, but it's just useless. So you got to learn how to evaluate and understand how these things work, so you get it. All right, guys, thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks, Dan.
Go.
Sorry, I gotta back up into it.
What'd you do to it?
You're gonna put your foot on the back.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's good. There's no.
Yeah, hey. I didn't realize what you were saying to me. I'm trying to figure out what are you saying? You only take it once. You take money every day out of your IRA account. But if you're putting it back and coding it as a rollover, you take rollovers one time per year. You're exactly right.
Probably, you gotta watch that. You wanna like go into the account for me or something? I have a bunch of them. I'll try to record everything.
Sure.
You have a card. Yeah, give me a.
So what I tell you is, this is not an accurate sentence. It's guessing. The actual is so screwed up, there's no way to say, I want
Here,
this.
just write it right on.
Yeah, but it's weird. No. So I tell them, let's take 5. Watch your paycheck. If you have $400 more in your paycheck, we need to back off. If we have $100 more in your paycheck, we need to, and we're going to play with it until we dial it in through the process.
Is it Jay or Ty? Yeah, well, I saw it, I have, my.
Potentially, if there's no other issues. Yeah.
But it's
Former
Jay.
athlete,
It's
he
Jay's
did-
name, but-
Yeah. He needs to.
I saw your thing pop up on.
He needs to do it soon if he's going to do it.
And I'm like, oh.
You get into your mid-30s with that, and it's virtually impossible.
His dad's like a financial planner or something.
I think I'll send it over to you later. No problem.
Well, just remember, a lot of financial planners don't care about life insurance. They sell investments.
His kid was an athlete.
Set up a meeting with them. Maybe you can run it. So you sit them down and you say, I'm going to bug you about this every day until you meet with me, so let's just get it over with. What's up, Bill? Okay. Yeah, Aristide's recording it. So talk to Aristide, he can get you the words yes. Good deal? Very good to see you, my friend. What's up, Wendy? Your hair looks longer than normal. Oh, you been in the sun, or are you?